Here we go, mailbag part 2 for this section. This one comes from Monkey Fedor. Monkey Fedor? I do apologise, I'm not sure how to pronounce that. It's something like that anyway. Just installed the drivers for the MX-1 on computer and I'm still not getting any sound out of it with headphones in my DAW or Windows in general. Any tips? Yes. The problem is it could be a whole raft of stuff that's causing you a problem here. But my guess is that you haven't got the MX-1 correctly set up as an input to your DAW. I did a video some time ago about, if you're using a Mac, about setting up aggregate inputs. I don't know how to do it on a Windows PC because I've never done it on a Windows PC, but I suspect that your MX-1 has to be specifically selected in the DAW and it has to be specifically set up on the computer. The MX-1 actually pushes out, I'm going to get this wrong now, aren't I? 12, 13 inputs, 13 outputs. So basically all of the inputs will show up on the MX-1 in the computer, in the DAW, as effectively an output, depending on which mode you've set it up in. So if you haven't correctly set that up, you won't get any sound transferred. The other key thing is also how you set your MX-1 up. So have you set your MX-1 up in mix mode, in performance mode, or in surface mode? And that also makes a hell of a difference in terms of whether you're going to get any sound out, because and I long time ago found that using the MX-1 in surface mode just did not work for my workflow. Okay, I really tried to use it as that sort of surface for Ableton when I was doing stuff in Ableton. I just could not get it to work. So they would be the places I would look. First of all, look at your computer setup. Make sure you are seeing all those inputs and outputs that the MX-1 effectively is giving you. If you haven't, first thing I would do is probably reload the driver, deload the driver, and then reload the driver, or uninstall the little Roland package that they give you, and then reinstall that, assuming that you've already installed it, of course. There is a video about doing that on the channel. So that would be the first thing. If that doesn't work, if you're still not getting anything from your computer, I would also look at, I don't know whether you've got any software on your computer which is sort of acting as a virtual mixer. Go and look and make sure that you can see the DAW in the virtual mixer, and then obviously try assigning the MX-1 channels to the virtual mixer channels, and obviously putting the volumes up and the volumes on the masters up, see if that works. Again, if you're not seeing it in the virtual mixer, you might need to reload the virtual mixer. I doubt that's what's causing the problem. I suspect it is a driver issue. So strip out my first thing would be strip the drivers out and put them back. If you can see it in the virtual mixer, then you should be able to see it in the DAW. So it's sort of a workflow working from one side to the other. I can't be more specific because if I'm honest, it could be a myriad of things unless you're sitting in front of the machine and actually looking at what it is. But my workflow would be to start with the drivers. If you're not getting anything on the machine, you can't see the MX-1 inputs correctly, that would be my starting point. Next one is from Masley. Is your speaker in-room demo? So this was a response to an FB-01 demo I did way back in January 2016. And at the time when I did that demo, I hadn't really got my video set up completely sussed. I do want to change my video setup, I have to be honest, but at the moment I've got a video set up where I've got a mixer that goes into the recording device, and then I can now plug the keyboards directly into the recording device. Back then I didn't have this set up, so I couldn't do that. Which was probably the reason why it does sound like an in-room demo, and I do apologise for that, and maybe at some point I will go back and re-record Soundback 1 on the FB-01. In actual fact, I've got some work to do on the FB-01s. It's another project that I've been sitting on for months now. I've got all the bits for doing the project, to transfer one of my FB-01s to the new frequencies, but I just haven't got around to doing it. I just haven't had the time to sit down and do it. I may do it in the coming months and video that, and then I'll do a side-by-side demo of the two FB-01 units before and after modification. The next one from Daniel Fish. If I update the System-1, will it return to 8 patches or will it remain with the version 1.264 patches? Thanks in advance. So this was in response to a video I did about factory resetting the System-1, and actually this answer actually applies to everything in the ARIA range. Okay, if you've done a firmware upgrade, so you've lifted it from the base firmware 1.0 to whatever it happens to be now, when you do a factory reset, it doesn't reset it back to firmware 1.0. It resets all the sounds on the keyboard or drum machine or MX-1 or whatever it happens to be. It resets everything back to the factory defaults, but on the version of firmware that it was on before you hit the reset. Okay, that's how all the ARIA stuff works. So you will not lose the functionality of the 64 patches that you have with version 1.2, but you will use all the data that you have currently on your System-1 or any of the other ARIA devices. And the final one for this section from Thomas Primrose. You read my mind. I can't believe they just abandoned us peeps. Is there a link you can share so that we can voice our small voices? Now this is in response to a rant I did in Feb 2018 where I voiced about support being dropped for the Jupiter 80, and it's really fortuitous that I actually answer this mailbag item today, given the rant I had just over a week ago about the legacy support for the receptor and the beastie behind me, the Oasis. So it's really fortunate. The problem is I don't know where, apart from putting it on the sort of direct Roland Korg user groups, there is nowhere I can see that we can actually put our voices. However, what I would say to all you guys out there who really feel the same about this as I do is badger the manufacturer. Make sure the manufacturer really understands how important this stuff is to us. You know, we have invested thousands of dollars, pounds, euros, whatever it happens to be, in musical equipment from these manufacturers, only for them to drop support because it's inconvenient for them to continue to support this stuff. At some point, you know, I get the whole idea of you know, it's all legacy and what have you, but still support us, still fix bugs on this stuff, and still, you know, if possible, you know, give us new features, even though you're not selling, or give the source code to somebody else who is willing to support us. I think a lot of musicians out there would pay a nominal fee for that support if somebody was willing to actually take on the mantle of support. Anyway, that's the last one for this section. So this is the point in the video where I turn around to you, my viewer, and say, if you enjoyed the content of this video, please give it a thumbs up. The way the Google and YouTube analytic engines work is that the more likes you get against a video, the more it gets promoted by YouTube and Google, and therefore more people with the similar interests to what you have and I have get to see this content. This channel is driven by my love of music technology. That's what it's called, the Music Tech Guy Thought. If you've got queries, want to ask questions about themes or issues I raise on this channel, please do put your comments into the comment section below the video, and I will try to address whatever issue it is you've raised or whatever question you've raised. If it's something to do with me making future videos in terms of how to do something on a particular piece of equipment I possess, please feel free to say that as well. I can't promise to make videos on all the requests I get, but I do have a jolly good go at making most of them. around about here is the subscribe button. Again, to do with the YouTube and Google analytic process, the more subscribers a channel gets, the more the channel gets promoted, and the more people get to see the content that you have obviously just watched. If you want to see my latest video, it will be in one of these two boxes on this side of the screen. Also, there is a second box there, and that video will be chosen for you by YouTube based on your YouTube preferences. I look forward to the next time that we interact, and I do mean interact because I always enjoy reading your comments back to me. But for now, bye bye.